All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a new leadership playbook for a world where, let's face it, the old rules just aren't working anymore. If that top-down, command and control style of leadership is breaking down, what's supposed to take its place? Well, the answer might be something called Brave Curiosity. Let's get into it.
This quote just nails the core idea, doesn't it? Brave curiosity isn't about being reckless. It's about having the guts to question the things that feel comfortable, the things that feel safe, and to actually listen to the ideas that shake up our own sense of being in control. It's a huge shift in how we even think about what strength looks like in a leader.
Okay, so why is this conversation so important right now? Well, it's because the very foundation of traditional leadership is cracking. Let's take a closer look at why that old model is failing us.
For the longest time, leadership was all about control, predictability, and top-down authority. But in a world that's constantly changing, that kind of rigid structure just shatters under pressure. Cultures that are built on fear, well, they don't adapt, they don't innovate, they stagnate. And this breakdown is creating a massive need for a totally new, much more resilient way to lead.
So that's the problem. And that, of course, brings us to the solution: brave curiosity. And I want to be really clear here. This isn't just another soft skill. It's being framed as a core strategic advantage for any modern team or organization out there. What I find really fascinating about this definition is the choice of words. You've got transparency, vulnerability, and authenticity. I mean, these are not your classic leadership buzzwords, right? But here, they're literally the foundation. It's all about leading as a whole person, not just as a job title.
Now, this quote, this one is huge because it tackles one of the biggest myths in leadership. So many leaders are terrified that being vulnerable is a sign of weakness, that it'll undermine their position. But the argument here is the complete opposite. When a leader shows vulnerability, it doesn't weaken their authority at all. It humanizes it. It makes it relatable. And honestly, it makes it way more effective.
And let's be clear, this isn't just some small adjustment. We're talking about a total rewiring of the leadership operating system. We're moving from a mindset of control to one of connection. And instead of just rewarding a polished performance, the focus shifts to cultivating a genuine sense of presence. The ability to be fully there, engaged, and authentic with your team, no matter what's happening.
Okay, so how do we make this tangible? Well, this framework breaks Brave Curiosity down into 3 core pillars. You can almost think of these as the internal architecture for this new kind of leadership.
First up, we have transparency, which is called courage in motion. This means being open and honest about the process, not just showing up at the end with a perfect, polished outcome. It's a difference between a leader saying, "Don't worry, I have a flawless plan," and a leader saying, "Okay, here's the challenge we're up against, and here's how we're going to figure it out together." That second one, that's what builds real trust.
Next up is vulnerability. It's described as the nervous system of leadership, which I love. It's what allows a team to actually feel and respond with things like empathy and creativity. By showing that leadership is about being present, not being perfect, a leader creates psychological safety. And that safety is what gives your team permission to be themselves, to take smart risks, and to innovate without being afraid. And the third pillar is authenticity, the structural integrity that holds this whole thing together. This is all about coherence. It's when a leader's actions consistently match up with their stated values. It's that deep alignment between who they are on the inside and how they actually show up on the outside. And believe me, people can feel that integrity. So when you get these 3 pillars, transparency, vulnerability, and authenticity, all working together, something really powerful happens. Your formal authority starts to transform into what's called resonance. And resonance is that feeling of genuine connection and trust. It's the reason people follow a leader, not because they have to, but because they actually believe in who that person is and what they stand for.
Okay, so that's the theory, but how do you actually do it, right? How do you put this into practice? Let's move on and look at some concrete, actionable steps.
And this is so important. This is not some personality trait you're just born with. It's a discipline. It's built through small, daily habits. As you can see here, these 5 micro practices are all about shifting your default response, moving from blame to learning, from listening to win an argument to listening to actually understand. These are the small, consistent things that build a real culture of courage.
Here is a brilliant, super simple tool for leaders. It's called the pre-meeting pause. Before you walk into a room, before you jump on a call, you just stop for a second and ask yourself this one question.
It is such a powerful little ritual for intentionally shifting your internal state away from being protective and defensive and towards being present and curious. And what this all really boils down to is a deeper truth. Lasting change starts within. Before you can lead others with courage, you first have to understand your own triggers and your own defenses. You have to know what makes you shut down and why. This inner work, this self-leadership, is what builds the integrity you need to lead other people through uncertainty.
So, what happens when an entire organization, a whole culture, starts to operate this way? Well, the impact isn't just about everyone feeling a bit better. It's a strategic investment that has very real, very measurable returns.
This table really lays out the trade-offs perfectly. You are actively choosing to replace the norms of a fear-based culture with courage-based principles. So instead of secrecy and hoarding information, teams share it with transparency. Instead of faking perfection, people can show up authentically. This isn't just a change in mood, it's a fundamental shift in how the work actually gets done.
And this transformation creates this incredible ripple effect, right? When trust deepens, you get more psychological safety. That safety in turn accelerates innovation because people aren't so afraid to fail. And that sense of safety boosts engagement and builds a more resilient team. And ultimately, you start to create a pipeline of future leaders who already get it. They already know how to lead in this more effective, human-centered way.
This quote just brings it all home so perfectly. You know, the old model of leadership was all about wearing armor, projecting this image of being invincible while hiding any weakness. This new model is about building an internal architecture of self-awareness and integrity. It's a foundation that allows you to be both strong and human, especially when you're facing the unknown.
And so we'll leave you with this final, powerful question. It's for every leader, and really for every single one of us. What part of yourself are you hiding just to maintain a sense of control? And what might become possible if you had the courage to lead with all of who you are? Thanks for tuning into The Explainer.